Did you have a good day today? I know every day can't be a good day, but I hope today was. Are you ready for tonight's story? Scooch in. Cover all the way up to your neck. Get comfortable. We'll take a journey to Wonderland. The Leaf Safari was still some distance away. How far exactly? Well, you couldn't tell that in Wonderland, now could you? I, for one, never could tell distances in this place. It was a good thing that there were many stops and distractions in the way, as well as Mr. White Rabbit to keep me company. That's it. If you had something to do on your journey, people to meet, and places to visit, then the destination you wanted to go to wasn't that far. But if it was just you and nowhere else to be, it could be tiresome to go on a quest, or even someplace as excellent as the Leaf Safari. Accompanied by Mr. White Rabbit, I skipped along the riverbank, letting all the lovely scents drift into my nose, and the beautiful sights dissolve into my eyes. As always, Mr. White Rabbit was in a big hurry. He always had to be somewhere urgent. Reaching into his waistcoat with a nervous paw, he produced a golden pocket watch, whose chain dangled on his tummy. "Yikes!" he exclaimed, jumping about a good foot in the air. His snowy white fur prickled, and his protruding rabbit teeth clattered. "I am going to be late. I am going to be late again," he exclaimed, all jittery and panicky. It was really exhausting sometimes to keep him relaxed and content, but I was still grateful that he was there. After all, if it weren't for him, I would have never known about this magical world, where the rules were more creative than anyone's imagination. Stepping forward, I took his paw into my hand, caressing his furry head to calm him down, which he did eventually. He thanked me for soothing him, but got my name wrong, which was all right. He meant well. "Just focus on how lovely the night is, Mr. White Rabbit. Besides, we will be stopping by the Mad Hatter's tea party. The clock never ticks there," I said to him, with all the reassurance in my voice that I could muster. My words did cheer him up somewhat, but his eyes regularly darted here and there. To keep him distracted, I told him the story of my fight with Mr. Gryphon, which happened on a different adventure some time ago. Oh, Mr. White Rabbit, it was all so lovely. The paper white moon sparkled in the sky above, and the waters below. It was like the river holding up a mirror to the heavens, a mirror made of undulating waters. Crystals of moonlight scattered over it, waving up and down. The wind was crisp and pleasant on my face. It made my hair flutter like silk drapes. Oh, the soft fur coat of Mr. Gryphon pressed against my cheek as he brushed the water with his talons. Yet more soft was the milky, buttery moonlight, filtered through drifting clouds made of fluffiness itself, nature's most poignant shade of tranquility. I narrated in my best sing-song voice, reminiscing the incredible adventure on a night much like this one. Mr. White Rabbit listened with rapt attention, making me wish we could somehow fly over the water. No wings sprouted out of my back. Someone was bathing right in the middle of the river. Their presence there was just as good as my wish coming true. Mrs. Duck dipped her head in the water, going quack quack with delight. Calling her over, we had a chit-chat about this and that. We talked about the Queen and the weather, just your average Wonderland stuff. Then I got down to the fact of the matter, and we agreed on things in no time. It was a good thing I had saved the shrinking and enlarging potions for just such an occasion. Making her gulp down the syrup, she grew as large as me in a blink of an eye. Mr. White Rabbit wasn't too sure, but I talked him into it anyway. And off we went, sailing over the water surface on Mrs. Duck's back. Sheets of splashing water flanked us as we continued to move along. Mr. White Rabbit was positively enjoying himself, watching his smudged reflection on the water surface with amusement. On the other hand, I dipped my fingertips into the river, relishing the cold touch. It sent these little waves of joy lapping against my heart. The stars overhead glimmered and twinkled as if looking down at us and smiling. Soon, little ducklings were on our trail, giggling and playing catch with their mother, who slowed down to say hello to their kids. They were all amused by their mother's overgrown size. One of the ducklings hopped on Mrs. Duck's back, reciting the new words he had learned that day. And so, we traveled merrily and playfully along the river, the most unusual party of a girl, duck, and rabbit. A little way ahead, we passed a canoe carrying some familiar faces. The rat with a story on his tail, Mr. Dodo Bird with his funny beak, and the others waved at me. They were all much smaller, but so was the canoe they were sailing on. Mrs. Duck slowed down to a halt, pausing for us to watch another unusual sight. A cute little hamster was rolled into a ball, bouncing on the water and chortling with delight. A fish jumped out and struck him away by swinging its tail in the air. Squinting its eyes and placing a fin above them, the fish watched the hamster tumble away before falling back into its aquatic world. Some distance away, another fish came out to do precisely what the previous fish had done, and so on and so forth. The strange game of hamster ball provided me and Mrs. Duck a good laugh, but Mr. White Rabbit kept muttering, oh dear," under his breath, nervously looking around. Then, to pass the time, Mrs. Duck and I hummed along with a song as Mr. White Rabbit tapped his elongated feet on the feathery back. By the time we reached the riverbank that led to the Mad Hatter's, the sun was up and shining over the magical world. Thanking and hugging Mrs. Duck, I uncorked the other bottle for her to gulp down. She was back to her standard size in a blink. Wagging their feathery tails, the mother and her ducklings swam away to the other side of the riverbank. Mr. White Rabbit and I pressed on, making our way to the opening of the forest. But this wasn't your average neck of the woods. The most unusual thing about it was the leaves swaying on the trees. They weren't just green, but all the colors of the rainbow and more. What was more astonishing were the shadows cast by the leaves under the sun's blazing heavenly lamp. They were of the same color as the leaves themselves. Just imagine colored shadows shimmering on the grass. Do we even call such lovely displays shadows? I think we do. After all, they do emanate from the leaves coming in the way of sunlight. And so, inside the forest, the world was a lovely rainbow, filled with dazzling colors. And that wasn't all. The ground beneath our feet was a mingling of red, blue, purple, and so much more. The colors mixed and shifted as the leaves fluttered because of the breeze. We stood on a kaleidoscope tapestry, quivering and trembling into a perpetual change. Oh, what an incredible sensation it was to be strolling through those enchanting woods. Even the usually stressed out Mr. White Rabbit was calm and quiet for a change. He wiggled his long ears, which were mostly drooping now, but standing on end. We met the Cheshire Cat, wearing the mischievous grin on his face, but his eyes weren't smiling at all. There was a rare dullness in them. "What's the matter with you, Cheshire Cat?" I asked kindly. Perched on the branch of a tree, it looked down, studying my face closely, scrutinizing my visage with darting eyes. Finally, it must have decided that I wasn't jesting and was inquiring with genuine concern. "There aren't any shadows for me to disappear into. How will you see my grin now, hovering in the shadows all by itself?" said the Cheshire Cat a little sadly. It broke my heart to see him this way, but as if the sky had heard my thoughts, it instantly made the sun go away. The moon was back, and light and colors were gone. This sort of thing tended to happen quite often in Wonderland. The Cheshire Cat was ever so delighted at the sudden shift. A swarm of fireflies materialized from nearby, engulfing us with their pinpoints of soft yellow lights. Overheard, the Cheshire Cat got to perform its beloved trick as it slowly disappeared, merging with the lingering shadows. The smile etched into the perforated sheets of darkness made me clap and skip. For no matter how many times I witnessed it, the sight of it never failed to amaze me. With the fireflies still hovering around us, we walked through the woods. The cocoon of pointy lights accompanied us to the very opening to the unpaved road leading to the Mad Hatter's house. Mr. White Rabbit muttered how he could use a nice cup of tea, and so we quickened our pace. The top hat becoming visible even from such a long distance. And, to my great surprise, Mr. Gryphon was already there, stretching his wings as the Mad Hatter held up the saucer of tea for him to slurp. After an exciting exchange of salutations and greetings, the tea party was underway in full swing. Laughter echoed through the air as everyone told jokes and stories. Beside my chair, Mr. White Rabbit was utterly at ease, Upon our arrival, he had seen that the hands of his pocket watch were frozen. And on it went, the chatter and the laughter, until a great big yawn escaped me. My eyes became droopy, and tiredness took hold of me. Both Mr. Gryphon and the Mad Hatter noticed my exhaustion. They advised me to rest before continuing with my journey. But I was too eager to visit the leaf safari, where they were walking, crawling, and flying animals made of leaves and twigs. Good old Mr. Gryphon agreed to fly me there. The only problem was that Mr. White Rabbit felt too tired to carry on. He promised to catch up with me after resting at the Mad Hatter's. Embracing him goodbye, I clambered onto Mr. Gryphon's back. He spread his wings, beating them to create the levitation that overcame gravity. And away we went, soaring into the sky towards our destination. It was another memorable flight. Before long, we landed on the edge of the hill. A rose petal slide, wide enough to cover me, went from the very tip top to down below, into a world lost in the mist. Saying goodbye to Mr. Gryphon, I jumped on the petal surface. Stretching downwards, the thrilling ride put a nice little cherry on top of my adventure as I lightly tumbled into the leaf safari. It was much more breathtaking than I'd imagined. The place was a kingdom of green. A leaf poodle trotted up to me and said hello in the most adorable voice. I told it that I wanted to take a nap after my long journey before freshening for the complete exploration of the stunning safari. After wagging a leafy tail, the poodle led me to a house of leaves, dripping dew onto the soft floor. Inside, a bed in the shape of a pea pod awaited me. Tucking in, I felt the soft texture against my skin as it curled around me, enfolding me in its embrace. Taking a deep breath, I felt the exhaustion traveling through my toes and reaching my head, where it settled to put me to sleep.